You spent your 20s watching everyone else get ahead. Classmates landing dream jobs, friends buying houses, people your age already figured out, and you were still searching, still starting over, still one step behind everyone else's timeline. Here's the part nobody told you. The people who look behind in their 20s are often quietly building the exact foundation that makes their 30s, 40s, or 50s unstoppable. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this isn't you falling behind. It's your brain building something slower, deeper, and far more durable than anyone around you realized.
You're not broken. You're not a late bloomer in the way people say it, like it's a consolation prize. Your brain took the long way for a reason, and that reason has been protecting you the whole time. The first thing to understand is what's actually happening underneath the surface. Some people show up in the world already fluent in what's expected of them. School, career, relationships, the script was handed to them early and they followed it well. But other people spend those early years doing something invisible, building self-knowledge instead of following instructions. Think about someone who switched majors twice, took a boring job just to pay rent, or spent years feeling like they hadn't found their thing. It looks like drifting, but here's where it gets interesting. Drifting and searching activate completely different parts of the brain. Searching means the nervous system is still gathering data, still testing which environments feel safe, which skills feel true, which versions of you feel real. That's not failure, that's calibration. There's another layer most people never notice. Early success often rewards compliance, doing what's expected, on time, in order. But people who take longer are frequently the ones whose brains resist premature closure. Psychologists call this a low need for early identity foreclosure, meaning your mind refused to lock in an identity just because it was convenient or expected. It insisted on real fit. That instinct can look like indecision from the outside. From the inside, it's actually integrity. And this is where everything changes. That same trait that made you late is often the trait that makes your success, when it comes, last. Consider someone who spent their 20s in and out of jobs that didn't fit, feeling embarrassed every time a friend asked, "So, what are you doing now?" That embarrassment isn't proof something's wrong with them. It's proof they were unwilling to fake certainty they didn't feel yet. The brain was protecting them from committing to a life that would have eventually cracked. Here's a quick pause. If this is starting to feel like your own story, you might want to stick around because it gets more interesting from here. Consider subscribing if you want more of these moments where psychology explains what you've felt for years but never had words for. The next layer is about pressure itself. Early achievers often perform under intense external validation, grades, promotions, praise, starting young. Their nervous systems get wired to associate worth with speed. But people who succeed later frequently develop something different, an internal locus of evaluation. Their sense of, "Am I doing well?" isn't outsourced to a scoreboard. It's built from the inside, slowly, through trial and error nobody was clapping for. That's why when late bloomers do succeed, it tends to hold. It's not propped up by other people's approval. It's propped up by earned self-trust, the kind you can't shortcut. But that's only half the story. There's a childhood layer here too. Many people who thrive later had environments growing up that demanded early responsibility, unpredictability, or emotional caretaking. Their nervous system spent its formative years in survival mode, not exploration mode. Curiosity, creativity, risk-taking, the very things that fuel early achievement, often get quietly rationed when a child's job is keeping the peace at home or reading a parent's mood. It's not that they lacked ambition, it's that ambition had to wait its turn behind safety. This is where the behavior evolves rather than disappears. In your 20s, this shows up as hesitation, an inability to commit to one path. In your 30s, it starts looking like discernment, a refusal to waste time on things that don't fit.
By your 40s or 50s, for many people, it becomes something closer to mastery because every detour quietly deposited a skill, a perspective, or a resilience that the fast-track version of you never had time to build.
The brain doesn't erase the wandering years, it compiles them. Here's the emotional core of it. This pattern regulates something deep. Constant redirection feels chaotic from the outside, but the nervous system experiences each attempt, even the failed ones, as information, not defeat. It's less like falling behind on a racetrack and more like slowly building a house with your own hands, room by room, instead of moving into someone else's blueprint. Slower, yes, but every wall is load-bearing because you tested it yourself.
And here's the moment that reframes everything. The reason early bloomers often plateau and late bloomers often keep rising is that early success frequently gets built on borrowed identity. Who your parents wanted, who your school rewarded, who got praised fastest. Late success gets built on tested identity, the version of you that survived enough attempts to know it's real. That's the realization underneath all of this. You weren't slow, you were thorough. Your brain refused to build a life on a foundation it hadn't checked for cracks first. As you move through different life stages, this same trait keeps showing up, just wearing new clothes. In your 20s, it feels like shame. Why can't I just know what I want? In your 30s, it feels like quiet stubbornness. I'd rather wait than fake it. In your 40s, for many people, it starts to feel like relief. Oh, that's why none of the shortcuts ever worked for me. I wasn't built for shortcuts. The behavior never leaves. It just gets understood. There's a kind of emotional safety in this pattern too. The same way an old, familiar room feels safe even in the dark. You don't need the lights on to know where everything is. That's what a self-built identity gives you. You're not performing competence for an audience. You know the walls because you built them. If you've spent years feeling like you were behind or different, or still figuring it out while everyone else seemed sure, you weren't malfunctioning. You were doing something slower and rarer, building a version of yourself that could actually hold weight. There's nothing to fix here, nothing to rush. The years that felt wasted were never wasted. They were the quiet architecture underneath everything that came after. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments what behavior you'd like explained next. Chances are, if you've wondered about it, so has someone else watching this. And if you want more of these moments where your own mind finally makes sense, subscribing helps more of this find its way to you. You didn't take longer because something was wrong. You took longer because something in you refused to be anything less than real.